Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, another movie that's kind of more self-contained, but it definitely within its own universe. It kind of continues storylines from the previous movie and then resolves them and then kind of sets stories in motion for the next couple movies that the Guardians appear in. Obviously, the biggest one is probably with the introduction of the character of Ego at the very beginning and this whole kind of backstory of him, being a living planet and then wanting to take over the universe by impregnating all these different women from these different planets, planting these different seeds in the ground, and then having their offspring hopefully carry on the celestial gene, because it turns out that Ego isn't powerful enough to take over the universe. He needs another celestial who carries on the gene in order to activate all these different plants that are in the ground, create these different blob monsters and take over the universe. But none of them succeeded, so we ended up killing off all those offspring. And then the one person that actually did it was Peter Quill. So that whole storyline that we had in Guardians 1, where it turned out that he's actually half celestial, carries on that gene. So we have this whole mission from Ego to seek out Peter Quill, recruit him in order to activate these different pods that are around the universe and take it over. So it's kind of like this twisted father-son story in a way. And then we also get the revelation that Yondu was trying to keep Peter Quill from Ego to prevent all this from happening. But then Yondu kind of gets banished from the Ravengers because of all this, because of child trafficking. So it's definitely kind of like a stepfather-son story, which is definitely an interesting dynamic. Yeah, overall, I think this is like a more emotional movie than the previous one. Like, I don't like this movie as much as the previous one. I think the first one was a little bit more well-balanced. This is kind of more on the extremes. It's like everything gets turned up to 100. It's like, okay, you want an emotional scene? We'll have all these emotional scenes. You want a funny scene? We'll keep throwing all these jokes at you. You want action? Here you go. We're going to tile up to 11. So I don't feel like it's as balanced as the first one. But I do think like the whole heart of the story is really good, especially the whole twist at the end where it kind of gets revealed of this whole plan for Ego and the fact that Ego loved the mom so much, but he didn't want to have to keep going on Earth because he had this whole mission of destroying it. So he put a tumor in her head to cause her to die, and that takes us right back to the opening scene of the first one. So then obviously Quill's upset and then tries to destroy Ego. The Guardians have to unite in order to defeat him, and they eventually do. Yondu comes in. We get the cool line of like, "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all." Gives that whole sacrifice and allows Quill to live. We also get like a really cool resolution scene between Nebula and Gamora, because you get the whole reveal that Thanos would always cause them to battle each other, and every time Nebula and Gamora would go against each other, Nebula would lose, and every time she lost, Thanos would replace a part of her with a robotic part. So now she's like mostly machine now, so she wants revenge. But then they have their whole reconciliation, so that's really, really nice scene for sure, and that kind of like starts her quest to kill Thanos later on, and then that'll definitely be a big part of Infinity War and Endgame. We also get introduced to the character Mantis, the empath character, and she'll definitely become essential in Infinity War and then post Infinity Saga. But yeah, overall, I thought it was like a good movie. I would say it's like above average movie. Definitely not, in my opinion, as good as the first one, but yeah, I definitely think it has a lot of great scenes, a lot of great heart, some mostly good humor, and then a lot of essential elements for the overall Infinity Saga. So yeah, recommend.